Welcome to It's All About the Questions, where learning to ask the right questions can help you achieve lifelong success. Now, here to help you ask all the right questions is award-winning author, international speaker, and business strategist, Laura Stewart.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. So excited to have you here with me today. I cannot believe how wonderful this day is because, even if it wasn't a great day, it's a wonderful day because I'm here with you in the studio getting to interview amazing people. And today I've brought back somebody I interviewed a couple years ago, Felena Hanson, who I met through my dear friend Dina Moskowitz, founder of SaaSmax, who is sponsoring It's All About the Questions now because SaaSmax is all about helping tech companies grow their businesses through recurring revenue, partnering them with the best SaaS apps on the market today. And we're all about helping you grow your business as well. So we feel this is the best partnership that could ever happen. So please welcome SaaSmax to our sponsorship family. We're partnering together to help you grow your businesses. Stay tuned for some really cool webinars that we're going to be doing together. So Felena Hanson, I met because of Dina. And what I love is she's created co-working space for women. And it's not like any other co-working space you've ever seen. Felena is a longtime entrepreneur, marketing maven, just one of those inspirational women that everybody should have in their life. She's been featured in Inc., BBC News, Forbes, New York Times. She's got multiple locations. She's expanding. She wants to support over 20,000 women grow their businesses by 2020. So please welcome Felena to the show.
Thanks for having me, Laura.
Oh, it's so great to have you back on. I'm so excited. I've read your emails whenever they come in, and when I saw that you were expanding into Orange County, California, and the Swedish location was really kicking up, and you've got one in Phoenix now as well, in addition to your initial one in San Diego, right?
Yeah, also Washington, D.C.
That's right. I forgot about the D.C. location. That place needs some really good female entrepreneurs.
Indeed.
So now you started this just from an idea that there needed to be a disruption in the way women entrepreneurs got started. How did that thought come together for you?
Yeah, at the time I was pretty involved in a couple professional organizations for women, one called Women's Global Network and the other called Ladies Who Launch, as in launch businesses. And it was through that work and then also running my own marketing strategy business for 8 years that I saw a need for space in regards to both for myself personally to have flexible workspace where I could go and collaborate and just, connect with other entrepreneurs. I was working for and by myself out of my spare bedroom for 8 years and found it, hard to be creative. I was feeling isolated, and then running these events and workshops and these various things I was doing with these organizations, needing space for, those events and workshops. And so when I looked around at what was out there in regards to space, it was either old school kind of, offense, boring, executive suite type models, Regis models, if you will, which, their inherent business model is privacy, and that's not what I was looking for, or it was the super uber cool, co-working spaces that were mostly technology focused, scaled pretty young and pretty dude-like, so to speak. And
that's a great way to describe it, dude-like.
Dude-like, that's a technical term, actually. The bro-grammar culture, as it's come to be known. So I created a space that kind of served a market that wasn't being served in regards to how the space is designed and laid out and the programming that we do and the support and resources designed by women for women. But of course, we welcome men into that conversation as well. So we say we're a female-focused, spa-inspired shared workspace and business accelerator.
Now, I read a study recently that said people who go into co-working spaces see a 50% increase in productivity. Why is that?
Yeah, there's a couple reasons for that, Laura. Number one, if you've ever worked at home, and not
which I have and I do.
Yeah, not everybody's plagued with this, but most of us, there's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of other things you could be doing, and especially if you have families and pets and all kinds of other things happening in our homes, which we typically do, those are additional distractions. And so being able to be in a space where other people are focused and working, there's an energy about that, and our members say that all the time. The energy in here, it just makes me want to get stuff done, so to speak, kick some butt, if you will. You see others around you doing great things. You have a chance to connect with them, at a workshop or in the kitchen or whatever it might be. Sometimes those little conversations for new ideas and new perspectives and allow the individual to, really focus. You're in that focused energy.
I would imagine that there's also the possibility that you can find a lot of distractions there where you just start talking to everybody else to get their opinions on what you're trying to do, and you don't actually do work. So how do you combat that if you're in a shared workspace to where people actually need to say, okay, I just need to get stuff done. It's time to stop asking everybody.
Yeah, so we have specific space and specific programs that are designed for that. So there's a time and place for everything, right? And so if somebody's heads down focused, they work in one of the quiet co-working spaces. So there's areas that are designated as no talking zones, if you will. It's, again, heads down focused space. Then there's the more open, collaborative space where people are kind of coming and going. But a lot of us work in that space quite well as well in regards to just being heads down focused. There's activity, but people know that somebody's got their headphones in, you don't walk up and start talking to them, obviously. And then we have certain events, pretty much almost on a daily basis at each of the locations that allow people to connect if they want, so to speak. So we have gurus who are subject matter experts that donate their time to the community on a bi-monthly basis. We've got weekly workshops called Business Boosters that are 1 hour quick shot of business resource knowledge, sharing, things of that nature. And so folks know that if you want to connect and you want to talk, you go here. And if you want to be heads down focused, you go here.
I love that. I work from home a lot now, and I find that some days I need to go to Starbucks or some place like that just to get out of the house to be more productive. And that little buzz of noise in the background seems to make a difference for me.
Mm-hmm. It does, yeah. And Starbucks can be great as a temporary co-working space. I've certainly worked from Starbucks a number of times. But yes, you're right. There is, energy, so to speak. There's buzz. But there's a couple downfalls, of course. Sometimes it can be too loud. Sometimes you can't find an outlet. You have to bribe somebody to guard your stuff while you get up and get another drink or whatever it is, take a phone call outside. And, yes, the buzz is there, but the connectivity and the community are not, right? I mean, you have a sense that there are other people around you, but being able to connect with a like-minded group of individuals that are also growing their business is really, really powerful. So, yes, it can suffice in some ways, but nothing matches the actual energy of a co-working space and productivity.
Yeah, Starbucks I edited my book there. I wrote my book in a park just to get out of the house, but I edited at Starbucks just for that buzz and noise. Co-working to me feels like if you're serious about growing a business, you can't work at home, and it's almost like a mastermind where you've got these amazing people all trying to grow their businesses, where you've created workshops and other resources that you bring in to help them grow. It's almost an incubator in addition to being a co-working space.
Yeah. Yep, we call it a business accelerator, absolutely. And we've got, again, programming on this on a daily basis that folks can take part of. We do have a formal business accelerator program called Hera Labs. That's a 12-week program, and then we also have an angel investment arm called Hera Angels.
That's what Sylvia Ma, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I'll just explain Hera or Hera, if you're in Greece, is the Greek goddess of women. So I always get lots of questions of what does that mean? So the Hera family, if you will, in regards to, dedicated, focused business acceleration, angel investing, we really have lots of offerings under the Hera umbrella.
It's interesting that you created that additional portions of the Hera, the labs and the investing, because so often you start with an idea, but then you realize what's the next step. On your website, you had some interesting updates on your email you sent about somebody who had done a Kickstarter campaign that was working out of Hera Hub. I'm going to guess, is this correct or incorrect, that you helped them by bringing in some resources perhaps that helped them put together the Kickstarter campaign, or no?
Yeah, great question, Laura. So the design of Hera Hub is to be a platform for our members to connect with each other, share their experiences and ideas. It's quite different than a lot of other spaces or business accelerator programs where folks come in from the outside, so to speak, and, mentor. For us, it's more about getting the right people on the bus, if you will, a la Jim Collins. And so, actually, no, we didn't bring in any resources. We simply connected her with a member, a longtime member, who had done a very successful Kickstarter campaign the year before, and allowed them to share and connect and learn from each other. And thus, Steph had a very successful campaign, partially due to, the advice and wisdom of another member, Nicole McDonald, who tripled her Kickstarter goal the prior year. So, and Nicole, I'll just mention, has both our product-based companies, number one, which is physical products. One's a meditation cushion, one is what we call the 21st century fanny pack, the sash bag. These are not tech companies. These are not venture-backed type businesses, of course. And that's what I love about our community is we have such diversity. It's not all about going and pitching in Silicon Valley and trying to get venture money, right? There's many other ways to fund a business, and obviously Kickstarter is a good one. And Nicole, since that Kickstarter campaign about, I guess, probably 16, 17 months ago when she successfully did her campaign for the sash bag, has since done $3 million in online sales of her handbags since that Kickstarter campaign. So, again, it's about connection and community and sharing ideas as opposed to, let's bring in some, mentors from the outside and, come in, give you some advice and take off kind of thing.
I love it. You learn from the people who have actually done it, the people in the trenches, which is why I founded my company, Wisdom Learn. We're going to come back right after this commercial break. We're here with Felena Hanson, founder of Hera Hub and author of Flight Club, Rebel, Reinvent, and Thrive, How to Launch Your Dream Business. We'll be right back.
Success comes from not only what you know, but also who you know. Welcome back to It's All About the Questions with award-winning author Laura Stewart.
So just in case before the break you heard me say Fight Club instead of Flight Club, then, if you're a woman, you're thinking about Brad Pitt way too much. Or, hey, if you're a guy too, it's not a bad look to remember Brad Pitt in Fight Club. But Felena, you've written an amazing book called Flight Club, Rebel, Reinvent, and Thrive, How to Launch Your Dream Business. I love this quote from Allie Brown. This is your boarding pass to fly entrepreneur class, a must-read for every woman who is thinking about launching a business. Why this book? Why now?
Yeah, so the book and just the title for a sec, you're right, it was inspired by the movie Fight Club with Brad Pitt and Ed Norton. And the premise of that movie is really Ed Norton stuck in his gray cubicle, really longing to break free and do something that brings him passion and meaning. And for him, it was fighting. And for a lot of women, it's leaving their corporate jobs and starting a business. Right now, about 33% of the U.S. population is what's said to be independently employed, meaning, freelance, contract, entrepreneur. Most folks are saying and predicting that that'll be 50% in the next few years. So there's a lot of people out there that are longing to break free and launch their business. And so through the book, I share my experience about becoming an entrepreneur, which actually wasn't because of a great idea. It's because I got laid off 3 times. I was in the tech startup world and wanted to control my own destiny, so to speak. And then stories of other women who have leaned out, as we like to say, and launched their own business. So it's advice from those women, exercises for the woman who maybe even hasn't taken that first step yet, but is trying to assess what type of business to launch. And then the last part of the book is a foundational step-by-step process on how to launch a business. It's a online platform I built called Steps to Startup, and it really walks the reader through step-by-step the functional, foundational, how to actually get a business off the ground.
I do like the way you sectioned the book out. There was one quote that really stood out for me in one of your co-worker space, Hera Hub people. She wrote, "Questions are fateful. They determine destinations. They are the chamber through which destiny calls," by Godwin Halatshawayo. I have no idea if I pronounced that right, but it's interesting when somebody's not writing an anthology book to actually give star positioning to other people inside the book and let them run their exercises through your book. I loved seeing these exercises like the one, an exercise in evolution, or the 3Ds with the dump. Mm-hmm. How did you decide what were the key drivers and the key things that women entrepreneurs, or any entrepreneur for that matter, needed in your book? Because it's very comprehensive.
Yeah, I would say it's really the last 14 years of being an entrepreneur myself, and also working with now over 3,000 women in the launch and growth of their business, both through Hera Hub and prior to this, Ladies Who Launch, running their incubator-intensive workshops. It really is listening. It's to your point, asking the right questions. And just understanding through those experiences what was holding a lot of women back from launching a business. There's a lot of fear around that. There's a lot of, what if I don't make it? A lot of questions around how to launch a business, what's the right business. And so that's really why Hera Hub exists, is to create that space and community where women can come and learn from each other. I take that 17 foundational step process, the Steps to Startup process, into a live weekend boot camp, if you will, business launch boot camp, where in 48 hours, folks go through all 17 steps to actually launch their business in a weekend, if you will, and doing that in community with support of others and getting feedback is just so critical for so many. It helps kind of cut back that fear factor, if you will, to be able to say to somebody, I don't know what I'm doing, I need help, is a big deal, and what we need to do more of in this day and age. We kind of like to pretend like we all have it figured out, which is the furthest thing from the truth. I'll speak for myself. I don't have it all figured out.
You say you don't have it all figured out, yet you've thrived and not thrived at times as an entrepreneur. What do you feel that stick-to-itiveness is in you that has enabled you to seem on the outside like you really have it all together?
Yeah, and Laura, I'm glad you asked that question, because I think it's so important for us all to admit that we don't have it all together. Nobody has all the right answers. I mean, we're constantly learning and growing, and if somebody is trying to tell you, that's what frustrates me about kind of the world of internet marketing right now, is you see all these Facebook ads of these people that are be like me, my, $20 million house that I earned this money in 90 days, kind of idea. And it's like, that's baloney. That doesn't work. It doesn't happen. It's all hype. Like, let's be open and authentic and say, you know what? This is hard. Being an entrepreneur is hard, and we need support and community in order to get it done. And for me in particular, the tenacity, so to speak, I have comes from a few things. It comes from growing up in an entrepreneurial family. My dad and mom are both entrepreneurs and kind of self-professed rebels. That's the part of the subtitle of my book is, rebel against kind of, the standard status quo of go get a job, buy a big fancy house, get yourself into debt, and then, kind of have no options beyond that, so to speak. And also going through a couple experiences pretty early in my life, in my 20s. Got hit by a fire truck and broke 27 bones in my arms, legs, and face. Went through a significant recovery process, obviously, and boy, if that doesn't give you perspective, I don't know what will. Going through 3 layoffs in my 20s and a divorce. It's kind of that Mark Twain saying, eat a bullfrog first thing in the morning and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day.
I love that. That's the perfect thing we're going to stop with before we go into the news break. Okay. Everybody, what is your bullfrog that you need to eat before this day finishes? We'll be right back with more from Felena Hanson talking about Hera Hub and her amazing book, Flight Club, Rebel, Reinvent, and Thrive, How to Launch Your Dream Business. We'll be right back with more from It's All About the Questions. What is your frog? No matter how big, eat it now.
Welcome to It's All About the Questions, where learning to ask the right questions can help you achieve lifelong success. Now, here to help you ask all the right questions is award-winning author, international speaker, and business strategist, Laura Stewart.
One of the important things about asking the right questions is you have to make sure you ask them of the right people as well, because people respond to your questions from their knowledge, what they know around them and what they've experienced in their life. And if you don't ask it of the right person and all they've done is fail, they may tell you then you shouldn't try something. Or maybe they can tell you some other ways to try something. You just don't know. My guest today, Felena Hanson, has really taken all of her experiences from her life, including being hit by a fire truck and running successful businesses, being let go multiple times because businesses failed, building her own amazing co-working space, and put it into a new book that she's written called Flight Club, Rebel, Reinvent, and Thrive, How to Launch Your Dream Business. Felena, I love the fact that you yourself not only have written this book, but what you're doing with co-working space is very disruptive to the co-working industry. And one of the ways it's disruptive is you're not expanding using a franchise model. You're using licensing to help women entrepreneurs start their own Hera Hub co-working spaces. What's the difference between licensing and franchising, and why did you decide to go that route?
Yeah, so Laura, a couple things. Number one, there are a lot of co-working spaces in the last few years that have expanded neither through licensing or franchising, but company-owned locations. So WeWork is the biggest player in the co-working space market now. They've gotten a lot of press because of their rapid growth, again, going the company-owned location. They've raised a lot of money, a lot of venture capital. Right now, I think their valuation is $16 billion.
Wow.
Not sure if that's merited or not, but be that as it may, some investor bought in at a $16 billion valuation, so there it is. The reason why I didn't go the route of company-owned expansion like a WeWork did is because I'm not the woman to do it in Miami or Washington, D.C. or Stockholm, Sweden. I really wanted to take the brand and the business model and the system and everything that we've learned on the founding team over the last 6 years and empower a woman in Miami, D.C., or Stockholm, Sweden to build a community that supports female entrepreneurs in her city to build out that space with our guidance and ongoing support. Because this business, to your point, is different than a lot of other co-working spaces, it's really about the leader, the woman in that city who's leading that female entrepreneurial revolution, if you will. And so we decided on a licensing model because we wanted to keep the integrity of the brand. We want to connect women city to city, which we've already started doing as we are growing. I'm taking a group of women actually here from the U.S. to Sweden in a few weeks for our annual Flight Club strategic planning retreat, which I'm super excited about. And we're connecting with some of the members there in Sweden for an exchange of ideas and perspectives, if you will. But licensing allows that extension of that brand, but not having to be cookie cutter like franchising, if you will. You know, the connotation of franchising is pretty much quick serve restaurants. I ask anybody what's the first franchise that comes to mind, and they usually say McDonald's or Subway sandwiches, and that's not what we're trying to promote, being cookie cutter. We have a significant amount of education and resources and programming that we offer, but we allow the licensee some flexibility in when they implement those things, how they implement them. As long as the brand experience and general culture is there, then it gives the licensee some more flexibility to infuse their own experience into the business.
How do you know if somebody's the right person or the best right person to license a new location? I mean, it's your baby. For a lot of my listeners, they want to grow, but they're afraid to let go even a little bit of control of their business. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, first, it really is creating those systems and that model and really being able to articulate what it is that you're doing. I mean, that's step one, is getting your operations rock solid and being able to create systems and processes that people can understand and follow easily. And a lot of entrepreneurs don't take the time to do that. That's not the fun part of business for a lot of folks. I mean, like you, I'm a marketing girl, and I want to come up with new ideas and fun campaigns. But I've learned over the last 6 years to become, an operations ninja, as I like to say, and get really, really focused on some of the details and the implementation. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is really thinking about, in that process of identifying a licensee for us and vetting a licensee, we have a pretty detailed what we call market assessment process. It kicks off with a 4-week process where we take somebody through it's not a personality test, if you will, but it's an assessment of their goals and their values and their work style and things of that nature. And we kick off that market assessment with that piece, and then really over those 4 weeks get to know that individual through a series of steps to identify, the need in that local market and how they may address that market. So we come out the other side of that. I have a pretty good darn sense if this person's going to be a good licensee or not. And as women, Laura, it sounds cliche, but the old gut, you just know. I think, in a lot of cases, I'll talk to somebody, and in probably the first 10 minutes of the conversation, I typically know if this is going to be a good fit or not. I would imagine that in the process of building out Hera Hub and bringing on your first licensee, and now you have 4, there had to be some pretty big learning moments. What was one of your biggest ones?
Yeah, so many. Where to begin, right? I think it kind of goes back to your prior question, which is learning to kind of let go and let things that maybe I wouldn't do it that way, so to speak, and seeing how somebody else, implemented something slightly different than I would, and taking a step back and really noting, hey, you know what, maybe they actually did it better than I would have done it. Let me really look at this and learn from it. I think that's the beauty of being in something that's bigger instead of having to do it on your own, so to speak. We have a lot of learning that happens in what we call our collective, which is our group of space owners and operators around the world. We do monthly calls. We have an online platform that we use on a daily basis to ask each other questions, ask for feedback, support, resources. So there's constant communication, not only, within San Diego, but city to city. And so it's fun for me to be able to step back and see, different approaches to things and learn from it myself. I'm learning from my licensees, and we're all learning from each other constantly.
That's a key part that I think a lot of entrepreneurs start to put blinders on, that there's more than one way to do things. They get so focused. And I know I've done this myself. You just get so focused where you can't see anything else. And there could be another better or more improved way to do something that can take you to another level. And
yeah.
I love that you're helping your operators do a lot of that and keeping focus with them and rethinking the way you're doing things. In your book, you have a top 10 list, I guess is a great way to call it, 10 things, switching from employee to entrepreneurial mindset. Of the 10 things, is there one of those that really stands out for you more than another?
Gosh, that's like asking to pick your favorite child. No, I'm just kidding.
Kind of is, because depending on where you are in the moment, one may stand out more for you. So right now, today, is there one that stands out more?
I'm going to cheat and kind of take two different perspectives here. The first thing I'm going to say, Laura, is not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur. And with the popularity of shows like Shark Tank and The Profit and, a lot of the media that's playing around entrepreneurship, I feel like everybody I talk to wants to be an entrepreneur. In fact, in, some significant surveys, they have interviewed millennials, as we'll call them, folks in their 20s, we'll say, and 60% of them say they want to be entrepreneurs. So it's a pretty significant segment. But I do meet a lot of people that, and that's why I address this in the book, that, there's a big difference from being an employee to being an entrepreneur, a mindset shift, so to speak. And I would say this idea of being uncomfortable, being tenacious, taking risk, if you will, that uncomfort that a lot of people feel, when they go from a steady paycheck to, the buck stops here and I have to make it happen, or nobody's going to put food on the table, so to speak, is a big deal for a lot of people. And so I do talk about that uncomfort in my own life too. But for me, again, I got lucky because I got laid off 3 times. 2 of the companies I worked for sold and 1 ran out of money. And when I look at entrepreneurship, I actually feel like there's more comfort in this day and age in creating something, from nothing, so to speak, creating my own thing, building my own business, than relying on somebody else to give me a paycheck every 2 weeks. And, the decisions they make affect my livelihood.
And with that, we're going to go into our last commercial break. So everybody, I'd like you to think about, are you an intrapreneur or an entrepreneur? And there's nothing wrong with working for somebody else. Where are you uncomfortable? We'll be right back with more from Felena Hanson.
Success comes from not only what you know, but also who you know. Welcome back to It's All About the Questions with award-winning author Laura Stewart.
Felena, just before the break, you talked about comfort and being uncomfortable. Is there an area of your business or your life right now that you're really feeling uncomfortable and it's spurring you forward to keep you motivated?
Yeah, good question, Laura. I don't know that there's a place I feel currently uncomfortable, but I'm definitely always looking forward and striving. I mean, that's the fun part of being an entrepreneur and growing a team, is I've got some amazing people around me that are just always keeping me on my toes. I've learned so much in the last year in particular about being a better leader, so to speak, in regards to my team, the folks that work for me. As an entrepreneur, I've not managed a lot of people over the course of my career, and keeping them inspired and connected and growing has been something that I've really enjoyed learning about, because for myself, I'm quite self-motivated. If I want to learn something, I go learn it. But slowing down and taking the time to work with my team to help them set their own personal growth goals and their goals within their job role and with the company and beyond has been something that I've really, really enjoyed over the last year.
Your life experiences are not what most people have gone through. You know, your childhood growing up with peacocks in your backyard.
And tigers.
And tigers. Oh my gosh, those photos in the book of the baby tigers with the cat and the dog. Oh, yeah. I wanted to be in your house. That was so amazing. How do you feel your childhood prepared you for where you are today?
Yeah, very, very lucky now that I look back, because, you know, having two parents that were, you know, as I call them, rebellious in regards to just not playing by anybody else's playbook, if you will, it really prepared me to be an entrepreneur, because there was no status quo in my household. There was no, you know, work for somebody and get a paycheck. It was hustle all the time. I mean, I grew up working always, you know, painting or mowing the lawn or selling peacock feathers or lemonade or whatever I was doing. You know, nobody hands you money, you work for it. And so very, very blessed as a kid, you know, when all my friends were getting an allowance for doing nothing. Of course, I was a little jealous, but now as an adult, I am so, so thankful that both my parents instilled that in me.
I love that you took the feathers that fell off the peacock, the male peacock, and sold them.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people would never have thought of that.
Yeah, no, that was the environment I grew up in. It was, how can you, you know, take something that you have and, you know, turn it into an enterprise, so to speak. And so, you know, luckily it was the late 70s and peacock feathers were, and actually now are seemingly back in style, if you will. And so, yeah, just, you know, we had apples. I would sell apples. We had, you know, whatever we had, I had to figure it out. And again, grateful that my parents gave me that experience.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So people are emailing me and sending me little notes. I keep checking my phone, and they really want to know how they reach out to you and find out about co-working spaces, Hera Hub in their area, or how they can find out about opening their own.
Yeah, awesome. So the website is herahub.com, and that's HERAHUB.com. And there's a launch link there to learn more about what it takes to bring a Hera Hub to your city. And then the book, if folks are interested, is on Amazon. It's Flight Club Book or flightclubbook.com.
And the book is, again, Flight Club, Rebel, Reinvent, and Thrive, How to Launch Your Dream Business. How'd you come up with that title?
So Flight, again, kind of going back to
the whole Fight Club
the play on Fight Club. Yeah, exactly. Taking flight as an entrepreneur. And Hera Hub sometimes gets referred to as a bit of a club, so to speak, you know, where folks are getting together. And then the subtitle being, you know, again, my childhood of a bit of rebellion, the reinvention in my 20s, and then thriving as I've become an entrepreneur.
You've spoken at so many companies like me, you know, I'm a big tech geek. So you've spoken at Qualcomm and Intuit, the Chopra Center. You've done TEDx talks. What is it about your TEDx talks that you feel drives people? Because your TEDx talks are really quite brilliant.
Thank you. You know, I think with that TED-style talk, it's being open and authentic and telling your story, so to speak. I had the opportunity to coach some folks for TEDx Talks, TEDx San Diego for a few years here, and got to learn about kind of the back process of running a TED event, and what it takes to give a good TED Talk. And it's the opposite of what I talked about a few minutes ago, Laura, which is like the hype, right? It's just being open and authentic and saying, this is my story and this is what I've learned, and sharing that with other people. I think that's why TED Talks have become so popular, is that authentic approach. You
would love a friend of mine who has been on the show and done TED Talk, Leslie McGurk. She talks about creativity and how she bounced back from people telling her she is not creative. She can't do any of this stuff. And her children's books have sold over 4 million copies, which is like unheard of children's books. And she has a company called McGurk's Quirks, which is all about helping people with creativity. She does speaking and everything about helping people break through that. But I have a funny feeling you guys would really, really get along amazingly.
Awesome. She sounds amazing.
She truly is. Last thought that you'd like to share with my listeners?
Yeah, I think, especially just speaking to female entrepreneurs is, be confident, go for it. I think as women, we have so much to offer. We're so talented, and oftentimes we don't give ourselves the credit that we should.
Hold on one sec. We're having an issue. Okay, we're all back. Go ahead.
No problem. Yeah, just be confident and go for it. Believe in yourself and, believe in your dreams and make them happen.
But if you're uncertain and you're not quite ready to leap out on your own, it sounds like Hera Hub and a co-working space can really help somebody gain that confidence to make the next step.
Absolutely. Surround yourself with like-minded people that are maybe even a few steps ahead of you.
I know that you have locations in California. We talked about this, DC, Sweden, Phoenix, and you're looking to expand more in California. Are there any areas you know are ripe for it and you're really looking for some women to step out there?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we've been having some conversations also in Atlanta, Northern California, Orange County, LA, but many other places that we're targeting and looking at, Dallas, Houston, Austin, South Florida, Colorado, Denver area specifically. And then we get a lot of international interest too. I have a woman in Poland that's going to be doing our market assessment shortly. I just got off the phone with a woman in Puerto Rico last week. So we're excited to continue to expand both nationally and internationally.
I love it. Hera Hub coming to your neighborhood soon. Once again, the website is herahub.com, and people can reach you through that on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn as well. Your book, Flight Club, Rebel, Reinvent, and Thrive, How to Launch Your Dream Business, is available on Amazon, and there's some great resources I highly encourage everybody to get. Felena, thanks for being with me on the show today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Laura.
Remember, everybody, the right questions truly can change your life. So what are you asking today? Have a great day, everyone. See you next week.
You've been listening to It's All About the Questions, starring Laura Stewart. Connect with Laura at it'sallaboutthequestions.com and download a free workbook that will help you ask better questions starting today.